This is why I don't recommend investing in individual stocks very much. Perfect story of just glamour. An old man got swooned by a hot chick. Look, seen this a story 1,000 times. Men, they're just suckers. Even freaking General Mattis, sucker. And sadly, just as sad. All right. The guy can't win a battle, but he can hopefully get a pretty girl to bat her eyes at him. He's like, "Hey, Elizabeth Holmes was in charge of Theranos," says the general. She pricked his finger and he fell under her spell. There he is. He was a board member, a 4-star general. When Mattis first met Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes, in 2011, she pricked his finger to give him an idea of the blood draw process, and like a damsel in a fairy tale, he fell under her spell. At the trial with U.S. versus Elizabeth Holmes, he was taken with Theranos' device. Now, young Elizabeth, is what he called her, she faces 10 counts of wire fraud. Was he taken with a device or was he taken with her? Give me a flipping break. She knew what she was doing. And these guys are idiots. They knew what they're doing. He portrayed Holmes as firmly in control of Theranos, even telling board members what to discuss with the press. "I'm trying to find a way to employ your device on a swift pilot project or proof of principle that expedites entry to our forces," he said while he was serving as the commander of U.S. Central Command. So who's going to tell the general, no, we're not going to use that? Who's going to tell him that? Some lieutenant colonel is trying to get his full bird? No, they're all going to say, "Yes, sir." It just is crazy. So Elizabeth Holmes was telling General Mattis what to say. What the hell is this, man? The small size, let's see, he wanted to get it. "I was a strong believer in getting this product in theaters so we could stand and deliver." Why? Did you look at other products from freaking crusty old men? No. Mattis describes Holmes as a sharp, articulate, and committed, and she was aggressive about trying to work with the DOD. You freaking think, Mattis? You think she cared about you? She just cared about you because you had the contract capability. Freaking fools, man. She didn't care about Mattis or Schmattis. She says, whoever it is, I'm going to bat my eyes and smile prettily. And that will say, oh, she was, what did she say? What did she say here? She was sharp, articulate, committed. Notice how he doesn't say she was hot. I don't look, for an old guy like that, she was. Is she hot? No, she's blonde, skinny, so she's pretty. But these guys, oh, that's freaking embarrassing. No wonder why we can't win wars. Anyway, to Mattis's knowledge, Theranos analyzer was never deployed. But he wanted to do it. Based on what research? Just him? After retiring from the military, he visited the headquarters in late 2013. And Holmes invited him to join the board to help her build a good corporate culture. His management experience would be helpful, she told him. It was pretty breathtaking what she was doing. Holmes was not just his primary source of info, she was his sole source of info. And he went along with this? He invested $85,000 into Theranos when he joined the board, a significant amount of money for someone who'd been governed for 40 years. Yeah, he still got his TSP, he still got his pension. He didn't have any health care to pay for. Didn't have any room and board to pay for. At board meetings, Holmes was the primary presenter. The test was naturally a problem for the defense. Let's see. Holmes media coverage was introduced today. First up was a Wall Street Journal that claimed Theranos devices were faster, cheaper, and more accurate than conventional methods and require only microscopic blood volumes, not vial after vial of this stuff. That was consistent with Mattis's understanding of the technology, but Mattis didn't want to investigate, even though he's a general of the freaking Army? Secretary of Defense? It wasn't until Mattis later learned that only a few tests were actually run on the Theranos machine. If he'd known these third-party devices were being used for most tests, it would have tempered his enthusiasm. Why didn't you ask? He also Mattis spoke to Roger Parloff for his Fortune article. And before doing that, he asked Holmes for guidance about what to say. Parloff's article claimed that Theranos does not buy any analyzers from third party, which was not true, but the claim was consistent with what Mattis understood. Later, Theranos' lawyer emailed Mattis to tell him not to talk to some other guy who was writing his blockbuster story about Theranos. And so Mattis just said, yes, sir, yes, sir. After the story came out, the board of directors was rebranded as a board of counselors. A slide from the meeting was shown to jurors, and the only part of it was the words duty of loyalty. Didn't stop another board of director, former head of Wells Fargo, from emailing Holmes and the rest of the boards with questions. So when blood is withdrawn in venous tubes, do I understand, company, that the tests are done correctly, that tests are done lab-like equipment, blah, blah, blah. All right, but after some surprises and disappointing surprises, Mattis began to question if Edison ever actually worked. Damaging as his testimony one, seems like Mattis was easily confused. He wasn't entirely sure when he met Holmes, though he knew it was before a speech in San Francisco. He didn't remember he bought stock options in the company. Though Mattis, when asked how much he made as a year as a board member, he said $50,000. But he actually made $150,000 a year. But when the defense tried to get him to say that Holmes was never told him that the tech was ready, Mattis pushed back. Anyway, it's just this is America right here, selling our souls for that quick money. Old men get just fall into the spell of pretty women. Pretty women fall into the spell of power, and they both scratch each other's back, and we are the ones holding the wet bag. It's freaking disgusting. All right, we'll see you guys.